be Zach Brown. Dad's not with us today because he's fighting Hurricane Milton down there in Florida, but we got a lot to go over. Talladega that's finished up this week in NASCAR. We got NHRA to preview as well as NASCAR, High Limit, and World of Outlaws. So let's dive right into it. The chat's open live, so sorry about the audio issues right there. And if you haven't noticed, I don't have my microphone with me because I don't know what happened to it. It just crapped on me. I apologize for that. Hopefully audio is not too bad for you and you'll be able to make it work. But we are live on X. We are live on YouTube right now. So comment anywhere you are listening from. Talk to me. What's your opinion on this racing season right now? Make sure you share this broadcast with everybody. And let's dive right into it. So NASCAR, in the Truck Series, Grant Enfinger punches his ticket to the Championship 4 because this was the first of the round of 8 for the Truck Series. It's really confusing between all three series where everyone lines up if you're not following close enough, especially with the smaller of the three series. But big win at Talladega for Grant Enfinger. There's a lot of good racing at Talladega. There's a lot of side-by-side. Cup Series ended up being kind of a crash fest at the end. We'll talk about that in a second. Sammy Smith, he punches his ticket into the next round for the Xfinity Series. If you told me Sammy Smith was going to be in the next round, it would have been a reach for me. I would not expect him to make it to the next round, but Talladega is full of unpredictable finishes. Now, the Cup Series, talk about unpredictable, but not really surprising, I guess, because he's a pretty good super speedway racer. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. gets a big-time win at Talladega, but I think the most impressive thing, being a Larson fan that you guys know that I am, is Larson actually finishing a top 4 to be specific, at Talladega, and he is terrible at those races. So hats off to him, hats off to the crew, making it to where he actually comes away with a big time finish, and that was really impressive to see. So let's break down Talladega a little bit. Comment what you're thinking. So it was good. It was better than the Daytona 500, which was not a great race. The 3-4 wide battles side by side, and they were actually pushing really hard. I think being a playoff atmosphere, it helped these drivers be more aggressive. And there were, for the fans, the crash obviously was awesome, the big one towards the end. But obviously the drivers don't want any of that. I think it was a good mixture of good and bad racing. Nobody was really conserving fuel a whole lot, and there were some pit road penalties, some not really any strategy that played out because tires weren't a huge asset. You could go 2 tires, you can go no tires, just fill up and splash and go at the end. I think overall Talladega is great, especially for a playoff atmosphere. I would love Talladega as an elimination race rather than the Oval as an elimination race. I really want the Roval to go away. The Roval is just, I think it's strung out too long. I don't think there's any need to have it anymore. I've been to a few Roval races. It's neat in person, but I prefer the good old-fashioned Bank of America 500 and on the regular Oval as opposed to the Roval. It's kind of a neat thing, but they've played it out too long. Drivers are tired of it, and you just don't get a lot of fans that go here. No one really wants to see that. It is good in person, though. I will give them that. It's a lot better than watching it on TV. But just bring back the regular Oval, and we'll move on from that. So let's dive into it. Let's talk about the Roval. Let's preview the Roval. It started in 2021, Kyle Larson, and won the inaugural race there where he got eliminated from the championship with some issues, came back and ended up winning. But that was with the old generation car. Well, you got the new generation car coming in last 2 years, 2 different manufacturers winning last year. AJ Allmendinger pulling up a big upset in the playoffs. And so far in the playoffs, there's been upsets on this elimination round. William Byron is the only one locked in to the next round of 8 in the Cup Series, but nobody's won yet. And that are playoff drivers. Now, when you look at the standings, there's the top 5 are probably safe. You get Christopher Bell's probably going to get locked in after like a lap in once he starts the race. Kyle Larson will probably be locked in the next round. Alex Bowman's been really impressive, and we'll talk about him here in a minute about the Roval. Yeah, so there's a lot of interesting factors that are coming ahead because I've got the standings pulled up right here, and Denny Hamlin's really, oh, that's the driver points. Yeah, Denny Hamlin's plus 30 as well. He's probably going to get locked in. The Roval's not his best track, but if he just kind of plays it safe, he should be able to make it. And well, let's just here. You guys can see my screen. Let's pull it up. The way you guys can see it. So here it is. Here's the playoff standings for the NASCAR Cup Series. William Byron obviously locked in right now. Christopher Bell probably going to be locked in. Kyle Larson probably going to be locked in. Like I said, Denny Hamlin with plus 30. I'd feel safe about that. Alex Bowman going to the Roval, and it's actually he's kind of a sleeper at the Roval, and he's been racing pretty well lately. I expect Alex Bowman to be locked in the next round. Ryan Blaney, he's won at the Roval. He's been consistent at the Roval. I expect him to make it. Tyler Reddick is a solid road course racer. I don't think there's going to be a change in any of this, but you don't know what could happen. One of these drivers has to win. You got Joey Logano, Daniel Suarez, Austin Cindric, Chase Briscoe. Now, these three traditionally, Suarez down to Briscoe, are pretty good road course racers. Joey, he's good overall everywhere, so it wouldn't surprise me if Joey wins. Now, Suarez, the Roval's not his best track, but road course races, these guys are pretty decent at. But these guys are going to have to either have a lot of help or win the race. So that's essentially what's got to happen. So you see all that. The top eight right now are likely safe unless something crazy happens, but it is the Roval. We've seen a lot of craziness happen. There is a wild card type of race before you go to back-to-back mile-and-a-half races. Now, let me give you my power rankings, and then we'll get into the NASCAR Fantasy. I'll give you some best bets if you want to play some wagers on DraftKings. You have to tune into all my social media stuff. I'm going to post later this week on just a best bet this week. I'm going to give you 4 picks for drivers to finish in the top 10. That's all I'm picking. I'm not picking a group winner or anything like that. I've been on a cold spell, so let's pick some best bets for drivers to get in the top 10 for this week via DraftKings. They are fantastic when you can parlay them all together, so make them check that out. Check out the link whenever I post all of that stuff. Before I do that, these power rankings are brought to you by my friends over at W Energy. They have been with us from the start, and if I could figure out how to work all this. Nope, it's not that one. It's this one. Yeah, so go to this link right here, w.gg. Use my discount code ZBHP, get 10% off of your order. It's essentially free shipping. This is a small business in the United States. They're out of California. They're trying to grow. They're trying to take out the big companies. They're using clean ingredients, no dyes, no artificial flavors. It's very good stuff. I actually have a thing right here. This is one of their hydration things. It's the Pineberry Splash, pineapple and strawberry. Let's hold it back a little bit. It's a little glaring for you guys. There you go. This is the powder version. They do have some cans left over if you want to get them before they're out. The cans are fantastic. The strawberry banana is unlike anything else you ever have. So check them out. They are really good stuff. W.gg, use discount code ZBHP, get 10% off your order. All right. So moving on from there, let's talk about the power rankings this week. So power rankings have shaken up quite a bit. If you've been following along, here's the power rankings for the NASCAR Cup Series going into the Roval. So at number 5, I've dropped them down with some bad luck at Talladega. I do have Ryan Blaney at number 5. At number 4, having solid performances, having a good track he's going to this week, I've got Christopher Bell. At number 3, guy that has locked himself into the next round, I've got William Byron. At number 2, starting to climb back up the rankings a little bit, getting a little more consistent, getting some more momentum on his side. Denny Hamlin at number 2, and at number 1, surprisingly somehow finishing a top 5 race at Talladega, I've got Kyle Larson back on top of my power rankings heading into the Roval. It's a pretty good track for him as well. So, what does that mean for the Roval? what are we going to give as picks? Let me check something real quick. Oh yeah, okay. Audio's working fine then for y'all. All right, make sure you tune in the chat as well. And I'll be dropping this podcast. If you listen to Spotify or Apple Podcasts, I'll drop that later as soon as I convert it to an audio. But the Roval 2 Series Xfinity Cup. I don't know if there's any double duty drivers besides AJ Allmendinger this week and Shane Van Gisbergen. But let me give you the fantasy lineup for the NASCAR Cup Series. Here is my lineup. So once again, going to put up the screen and you'll get to see my fantasy live. All right, right now you have, for my lineup, I have Alex Bowman. That is a sleeper pick. He is very good here, and he's been racing very well. He kind of comes under the radar, but he's had a couple top 10 finishes lately in a row at the Roval. Look for him to run well here. AJ Allmendinger, need I say more? Fantastic road course racer. He won last year at the Roval. He's always had consistent finishes at the Roval, putting him in there. Chase Briscoe. Now, this is an underrated driver that needs to swing for the fences for the Roval to get a win. And he races well at road course races. So I'm putting Chase Briscoe in there. SVG is also in as well, AJ Allmendinger's teammate and traditionally fantastic road course racer. I expect him to be in contention for it. Here's another sleeper, Chris Buescher. He's won earlier this year on a road course, Watkins Glen. He's ran consistent at Chicago road course, at Sonoma, at COTA. He's run well everywhere there's a road course. And he's finished top 10 here the last couple of years. I am putting Chris Buescher in. And in my garage, just for, if all else fails, I get to throw in Tyler Reddick to replace one of these drivers if there's some bad luck. Look for him to be in the top 10 as well, racing in contention for the win. Now, the featured matchups, I don't like them this week. That's why I'm not giving you a pick for featured matchups on DraftKings. But I've got Austin Cindric over Chase Briscoe. Yes, I know I have Chase Briscoe in my lineup, but it's kind of tough to pick between all of that. Joey Logano versus Daniel Suarez. Suarez hasn't had a great finish at the Roval, but he has to finish well here to move on to the next round. Adds a little bit more motivation. Joey has to finish well too. I don't know. Something telling me that Daniel Suarez is going to have a good race here. I don't know. Chase Elliott versus Tyler Reddick. This one's the toughest one of them all. I don't really know. I'm throwing in Tyler Reddick over Chase Elliott. I don't really have a reason. I think that's about as even of a matchup as you can get. Toyotas have had some speed lately on the road courses. That's really the only edge I can give you. And Alex Bowman and Christopher Bell. I do have Alex Bowman. He is, like I said, under the radar right now for me going into the Roval. Christopher Bell is fantastic at the Roval as well. So they'll probably both get top 10. Which one finishes better? It's hard to tell. But Alex Bowman over Christopher Bell. And here are your picks via DraftKings. So you go back to the very beginning. The hot picks, of course, are AJ Allmendinger at plus 800 to win. Chris Buescher at plus 1,200 is a hot pick to win. That's actually really good value. Do I think he's going to win? No. But I think it's a good, solid choice to have. It says avoid Denny Hamlin at plus 4,500. Go ahead, do what you want. You could throw $10 and try to win $450. That's not too bad. Plus 4,500, that's pretty crazy. Plus 2,000 for Daniel Suarez. It's not a great track for him, but look, I don't think he wins, but I think he will have a better finish than he's ever had at the Roval. I think he will finish a top 10. And Alex Bowman, there's your sleeper. That's the one I would sprinkle some cheddar on. There you go. Throw $10 on that, win $180, and I'll release my stuff in DraftKings. But he has been fantastic this year in this last 5 races. Alex Bowman's been fantastic, and this year on road courses, he's been randomly really good. So there is my lineup. Let's give Dads. I didn't leave him out. He sent it to me. Battling a hurricane, he still sends it to me. All right, so he's got Tyler Reddick, Ty Gibbs, Kyle Larson. Well, there you go. He's going to jinx it. Ryan Blaney. He's won there when Jimmy Johnson and Truex took out each other a couple years ago. Alex Bowman and Martin Truex Jr. And there, Truex has run pretty well there. So Dad's feature matchups are a little bit different than mine. He's got Austin Cindric over Briscoe on mine, same as mine. Joey Logano over Daniel Suarez, that's a little bit different. But he does have Reddick over Chase Elliott. And he does have Christopher Bell over Alex Bowman on this one. So a little bit different there. We'll see how we make up ground. But now here's the time. The time for me to make my race winning pick. This is not easy. It's the Roval. It's a wild card type race. It's an elimination race. I went back to 2021, the last few races here. I know it was a different generation car, but I went with it. I looked kind of what those results were and how they were similar to the next generation. There was one similarity. So for Xfinity, first thing I'm doing is getting it out of the way. It comes down to two drivers for me, either SVG or AJ Allmendinger. Allmendinger is very good at the Roval. I don't know what it is. It's a mixture of an oval and a road course. Maybe that's what it gives him a little bit of edge for me. I've got AJ Allmendinger in the Xfinity Series to win. Now in the Cup Series, this driver has finished consistently in the top 10 and top 5 at the Roval between one team he was on before and now a new team. He is hungry for a win to try to get a win in the 20th season in a row. It's never been done. I have Kyle Busch to win the Roval in the NASCAR Cup Series to spoil the playoffs for a bunch of drivers where no one's going to get locked in on wins. It's all going to be about points, and we'll be moving on to the round of 8 where it should shake up. So Kyle Busch is my winner for the NASCAR Cup Series. All right. Now, about to get into NHRA action. So let me just check, see if Dad gave me any race-winning picks. He did not. So I'm sure he released that later this week. But NHRA is heading to Texas. A lot of stuff's happening in Texas this week. Too bad NASCAR couldn't join on the fun. But NHRA's got 3 races left, including this. So they've got this race. I believe it's Vegas, and then they head to Pomona to finish off. It's starting to look like a favorite is in the Funny Car Series. Motorcycle's not a guarantee with Gage Herrera right now. I don't think he's going to lose the championship, but Matt Smith has made it very interesting lately, and Gage Herrera has not completely dominated this countdown like you would expect. I still think he wins the championship, but it's going to be a lot closer than I first predicted. Now, the Funny Car, where I predicted a few weeks ago, maybe 2 months ago, that Austin Prock would win the championship, that's looking like that's going to come to fruition. Now DraftKings does have NHRA action if you want to look at that and putting any money on, but they only have winners. They don't have any top, like make it to the semis or anything like that. It's just straight up wins. But here's my picks for the NHRA series. For the motorcycles, I've got Gage Herrera. I'm going with the championship favorite, the one that's been dominating early on in the year. I think he gets it done at Texas to pretty much solidify his championship run. Pro Stock, she's been good. She's been good lately. I've got Erica Enders. She's got to make up a little bit of ground on Dallas Glenn for the championship. Aaron Stanfield's second right now, but she's 90 points behind. A win would go a long way for her. Erica Enders for the Pro Stock. Funny Car, I'm going with the championship favorite right now. Austin Prock get, I believe, win number 8 for him this year. He's 105 points ahead. I don't think anybody's going to end up catching him. And Top Fuel. This is one that is really shocking because you got Antron Brown leading the points, coming out of nowhere really this year and surprising a lot of people. And it's a big fan favorite right now. So I don't have Antron winning. I've got last year's champion to win at Texas right now to make up some ground. He's in 4th. It's all fairly close. He's only 87 points behind. 5th place is 88 points behind. I got Doug Coletta to win at Texas. All right. You guys are just joining us. Make sure you go in the chat. Let us know what your picks are, what you're thinking this year in every bit of motorsports between NASCAR all the way to the Sprint Car Series between High Limit and World of Outlaws. Let's talk about the High Limit. We're getting into Sprint Car right now. Well, we're going to go a little bit of World of Outlaws mixed in with High Limit, but High Limit, they're racing tonight. I'm not giving you a pick for tonight for their makeup race they're doing in Missouri. I'm going to give you the finale. the picks for the finale talk about Texas Motor Speedway, the dirt track. So, like I said, Texas is a lot of stuff going on this week. This is going to be an interesting finale. Now, the midweek money series has officially wrapped up. Tyler Courtney, barely getting by, wins the championship for the midweek money series. Well, the championship for points for the regular series is done. I mean, Brad Sweet's won this. To shock nobody, he's World of Outlaw champion for 5 years in a row and goes right into high limit, wins the championship there. Not surprising. But who takes home the $50,000 to win? The first night's not $50,000, but that sets you up to have a good night the second night. A fantastic surface, fantastic racetrack. It's really fast. There's multiple grooves. The cushion isn't too terribly high, so you can run the middle if you need to. If you go too high on the cushion, you're going to jump the cushion, hit, and get into the fence likely. Now, that's what the last race was in the spring. That's what it looked like. Should be a lot slicker for the summertime, likely. Well, it's fall, but, it's still 8,000 degrees in Texas, so it's still going to be hot and slick. Now, you're going to have a harder tire than you did in the spring. You're going to go the same setup. Well, that remains to be seen. It's all about drawing and all about where you start in your heat and where you can actually make up ground. We'll see what happens there. Night 1 for the High Limit Series. I've got a local Pennsylvania guy. I got Brent Marks to win Night 1. Really solid race there earlier this year. He fell back, learned from his mistakes, see him contention for the win. Now, the High Limit season finale at Texas Motor Speedway for $50,000. It's a lot of big money. It's a big state. Everything's bigger in Texas. Why not the big cat getting the $50,000? Brad Sweet to win the finale for the High Limit Series in 2024. One final series, the World of Outlaws. They only have one race this week. The National Open has just concluded. Night 1 was Buddy Kofoid with Darren Pittman, who's racing actually at Texas, surprisingly, in the 69K for the High Limit. But yes, Darren Pittman finished second on Friday night. He did not finish second in another National Open. That would have been awful. They actually didn't make the show. He had a wreck in the heat, so didn't make the show. But Buddy Kofoid, I'm telling you, next year, that's probably going to be my sleeper for the championship is Buddy Kofoid. Those Toyotas are starting to hook up at the right time, and they're getting to where in NASCAR they started dominating for a little bit of time. I think that's what the point that sprint cars are getting. It takes a little bit, but TRD's finally figured it out. So Buddy Kofoid gets the night before National Open, but Carson Macedo taking the lead early on after like lap 6 or 7 in the National Open, doesn't look back, has a very solid race. Sheldon made a valiant effort to get up there, contend with Carson. Now, if there was another lap or two, I think Sheldon would have had a really good shot to win that race, but unfortunately, that's not how it happened. And Carson Macedo wins the Williams Grove National Open, $75,000 to win. But he's not really closing in on the championship. He's still 86 points behind, and he can't close the gap. He just literally cannot close the gap. And I don't see anybody catching David Gravel. As consistent as he's been, he's not letting that lead go. There's only a few races left. I don't expect him to give up this lead. I really don't. Very impressive stuff by Carson Macedo towards the end of the year where he went a little bit of the summer slump. If he didn't go through that little bit of a slump in the summertime, he probably would have been able to catch up to David Gravel. But David Gravel with the most top 10s, that's really the biggest difference right now. Not nearly as many. I don't think he has any DNFs, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't expect David Gravel to lose this championship. Now, the World of Outlaws only has one race this week. They're staying in Pennsylvania. They're racing against the PA Posse. They're racing at Lincoln Speedway, where the Posse early on had the number of the Outlaws, but the Outlaws have caught up. Posse's kind of fallen off on the competitive nature versus the Outlaws. Not saying they aren't good drivers. It's times are tough going against the Outlaws when they have all of this funding. Now, small Lincoln Speedway, a lot of stuff could happen. You're not going to have the high limit guys because they're already in Texas, so you eliminate the ones that could possibly beat the Outlaws like Macri and Brent Marks. They're not going to be there. So now, do you look at any other local PA guys? Freddie Raymer is a fantastic driver at Lincoln Speedway, multi-time champion of the track. Look for him to run well. But I don't see any PA guy beating out the Outlaws at Lincoln Speedway. This is my pick for the World of Outlaws this week, and I apologize to my mom, who's a huge fan of this driver, and I also apologize to you as well. Sheldon Haudenschild is my race winner for Lincoln Speedway. Now, I'm not the one that usually jinxes Sheldon. It's usually Dad that jinxes him. But I expect Freddie Raymer to run pretty well. Expect TJ Stutz to run really well against the Outlaws there this weekend. And he's already beaten them once this year. Why not try it again? So I think that really wraps it up, guys. I wanted to do a live thing for you guys to tune in live, to be able to share it, to send it everywhere. Sorry for the audio at the very beginning, because that was just crap. My bad. It happens. It's everything. We all move on, okay? That's all fine. So make sure you share it on X. Make sure you follow anywhere you get your social media. Instagram, Facebook, X, the Elon Musk social media device, that one. And TikTok. I occasionally put some stuff on TikTok as well. Memes and all funny stuff. But thank you guys for tuning in. And you can comment on this stuff anytime. Let me know what you think. What do you think your best bets are for this week? Make sure you be on the lookout for my best bets this week. Follow along for a lot more. The YouTube channel's got a lot to offer with guests, live things like this, trackside postings, and all sorts of things. So make sure you follow the YouTube channel, of course. But anywhere you also get your podcast, I appreciate it. And we'll see you guys again next week.